Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space, so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today and become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's Podgo at podgo.co, and be sure to add my podcast in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application. Welcome to the Heavy Sweater Podcast. My name is John King. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If this is your first time listening, this is the Heavy Sweater Podcast, a deep dive into the beginnings of Australian musicians and bands of the heavy variety. And this week, there's no musicians. I'm back on my wrestling shit. So this week's guest is Casey Eichmann, Stewart, professional wrestler Adonis. He and I are both huge fans of heavy music and pro wrestling, so this conversation is super sick. It's just easy, and he's a great dude. I back everything he does. Casey's a great fucking guy. So if you ever want to check out local wrestling, there's plenty of it around the country. Check it out. There's heaps of great talent around the country, just like heavy music. Plenty of great talent all around the country. We get into his beginnings in heavy music, and we touch on his time and experience playing music in bands as a kid and stuff. And then his beginnings in wrestling through training and refereeing, and his time as Echo as his first character, and then the transition into the Adonis character all the way up until today. So with all that being said, it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. Hey man, how you doing?
Good, man. Very good.
Sick. I'll move this closer to you, just because sometimes I don't pick up as much. We'll get straight into everything with you and heavies, and I assume heavies come into your life before wrestling, but
Big time.
Big time? Cool. So where did the heavies start for you?
Heavy was pretty much brought up on it. Mum was always playing records of Iron Maiden, Metallica, Pantera, Black Sabbath,
yes.
all the OG stuff.
Yeah. We've had cool dads being mentioned, but never cool mums.
No,
so
cool
shout out to the cool mums.
Yeah. Cool mum. Dad was Elvis Presley and that sort of stuff. And
That's still sick.
I saw the vibes there, but Mum was just she had other stuff too, heaps of pop and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the first time I heard Iron Maiden, that was it for me.
Really?
Yeah, I heard the self-titled Iron Maiden LP, and Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden, and that just intro, and then Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
Still one of my favorite songs of all time.
Fuck yeah.
It
I cannot back Iron Maiden at all, but that's sick that you do. They just seem to 80s hair metal for me, the Bruce Dickinson voice. I'm just I don't know.
Original Iron Maiden was before Bruce.
Okay.
So it's a different vocalist.
Fuck, I should give that a go then, because I don't like Bruce Dickinson. I'm nah, bro.
No, that shit slapped, and still to this day, I'll go back and listen to that first album from I think it's 1989 or something like that. It's old shit, but I'm just vibe with it still.
That's fucking so sick. Fuck yeah. Cool. And then from there, you go digging on your own through heavies?
Back in the old LimeWire days.
Yep.
You dial up
giving
internet.
computers AIDS since whenever the fuck LimeWire kicked off.
And you download a song, you might get the song you asked for, or you might get some random ass shit.
Yeah, you might get half the song and then an ad.
Or Sirius XFM.
Yeah. Sick.
And I think I first started getting into my own stuff when I found, I got into System of a Down my own, Disturbed, that sort of branching into new metal, into metal kind of vibes, and then one day I accidentally downloaded a Trivium song. Okay. And it was Dying in the Light, and then I downloaded My Hatred as well. Yeah. Those two songs just come up, and I was like, oh, wait. Because I had those sort of Iron Maiden vibes, but I had those heavier stuff, and I first had proper screams and stuff, and I was like, I like this.
Yeah, and at that time, Trivium would have been so fresh.
That was, I think, back, that would have been the year Ascendancy came out.
Yeah, so 2004. Yeah.
So I was it was fresh. And I was this is sick. And then I heard screams, screams are sick, and then I went from 0 to 100. It's okay, Trivium, Suicide Silence.
Okay, so
and
just boom, deathcore straight away.
And I found stuff in between. I had people at school oh, you should check out Boulevard Valentine and Bring Me the Horizon. I'm okay, and I was checking them out. Yeah, this is sick. But I was heavy. Yeah. And I've been deathcore pretty much since then. I always go deathcore above everything else.
Sick. That's wild that you're Trivium first, because a lot of people go Bullet first and then compare Trivium. When I was a kid, it was Bullet was Metallica, Trivium was Megadeth. But I was Trivium's way cooler. Yeah. And Megadeth's way cooler than Metallica, so I'm fucking with those bands. Fuck those bands.
Well, I found Bullet through, because again, LimeWire, downloaded that shit, and I found this it was pretty much a lead break like contest, like, and
I remember that.
Yeah.
I fucking remember that. I had it too, the shred off of Bullet and Trivium.
They just mixed all the solos from like all that earlier stuff. I was like, this is sick, this is sick, this is sick, this is sick. And then once I listened to more of both of their albums, I was like, oh yeah, Trivium slaps way harder.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
They're just more talented. Like,
And
nothing against
now.
Bullet. Bullet's sick, but like Trivium just fucking gets it.
Yeah. I said it on here like one episode. Bullet put out Fever, and they put out Temper Temper next, and they literally took one song and re-released it.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, man. Like, are you fucking bored yet? Because I am. Like, fuck me. But Trivium still slap now. Their new album's fucking sick.
God, that new album.
So sick.
I've lost track of how many times I've already played it. Like, release day, I played it like 20 times from front to back.
Yeah.
Just
sick.
constant. Yeah.
That's sick. I remember, like, the day before they put out the whole album, they put out a single. I was like, oh, yeah, cool. And then my partner and I were driving somewhere. She's like, have you seen, like, new Trivium? I'm like, oh, yeah, they put a single out the other day. And she's like, an album? And I'm like, what the fuck did you just say?
Because that was a single they released in correlation with Elder Scrolls or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, it's like my housemates that are into like all their Skyrim and stuff.
Yeah,
and I showed them a video, like, oh, that's sick. And I heard that song, and like, wow, this song is sick as well.
Yeah.
And then I didn't think release day, because like you get confused with like Australian release days and stuff. I was like, it was like 2 days away.
Yeah.
And I went and checked the album again, like that single, and like, the whole album was there. It was like midnight or something. I was like, yes, play.
Yeah.
In my room, middle of the night, playing Trivium.
Yes. That's sick. Fuck yeah. In Waves is one of my favourite albums of all time.
Dude, that
so good.
I somehow legally downloaded In Waves before it even got released, like the song.
Fuck yeah.
And I played that song on my iPod Classic. Like I just went repeat.
Spammed it.
That song was like, that album is still probably one of my favourite albums, but nothing will beat Shogun for me.
Yeah, that's fair. That 7-string album, fuck yeah.
Like Carista Go Men is like got to be one of the best songs in the history of metal.
Oh, fuck. I remember when that came out on MySpace first. They put out like a video of Matt in his house just screaming. I was like, what the fuck is this? It was like way before like he was doing all the shit now on Twitch. It's just MySpace shit.
Yeah,
fuck yeah.
And that was just that album still can't correlate. That was like a big journey for me. Like that shaped me a lot when that album came out. I was really into metal, but that album was like where I just deep dived.
Yeah.
I pretty much stopped listening to anything else for like 3 years.
Just Trivium.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with Marilyn Manson, and now I'm like, can I say that? Like, I'm not sure because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But that's fucking sick. Cool, man. And you play drums as well. I saw you put something on Facebook when Joey died about playing drums and stuff.
Yeah. Going through school, I was like doing a little percussion and stuff.
Okay.
And Trivium was like a bit above me. I was like, oh, this is hard.
Yeah.
So I started playing like some earlier Slipknot stuff where it's like fast but like kind of simpler beats.
Yeah.
And I remember the first song I ever learned was Psychosocial.
Okay.
It took me like 2 months to learn it because my teacher was breaking it down bit by bit.
Okay, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
With the snare bit as well?
It was like my feet were like, I can't keep up.
So sick.
And then I used to play in the chapel band because I went to a Christian college.
Fuck yeah.
So I played in the chapel band. And I'm there like trying to like keep it metal, but it just you're playing like Christian rock, chimes and shit. And, like
at that time, Skillet's like the heaviest Christian band.
Well, actually, I because all I had to do was submit lyrics to the pastor and the priest. Where like, here's what we're gonna play. Here's the song.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, that seems good. And I ended up I submitted a For Today song.
Okay.
And they're like heavy.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's all Christian and stuff. It was all about board. And we like spent 2 weeks learning this like For Today song. None of them knew how to play it. Like I had one friend in the band that was playing guitar. And he knew heavy.
Yeah.
We would teach everyone else how to play heavy, like down tuning everything.
Yeah.
And I bought like my sample pad in at the time.
That's crazy.
My double kick, and then we started off real soft. And it was like,
ready for the fight. Yes. That's sick.
And everyone was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. That's wild, man. I remember when I was a kid, like Skillet was like the Christian band, but then like realizing years later that Under Oath were a Christian band, and As I Like Dying are a Christian band, and they're like so many fucking heavy Christian bands, and also Striper from the 80s. They're shit.
I didn't like my schooling as much, but I liked what I discovered through school. Like heaps of friends that were like, check out this band. Like Death Wears Prada is now one of my favorite bands, like Tattooed and everything. And it's just like, some of them have steered away from it now, but like I still fuck with heaps of like the old Christian bands and stuff like that. And even like on like the WWE soundtracks, like Project 86, they're a Christian band, so they slapped hard too.
Yeah, sick. Fuck yeah. Well, you've already brought it up, wrestling. It's fucking sick. So that's where Heavies starts for you, and obviously you still listen to Heavies fucking today. Yeah. But where does wrestling start for you, like the earliest memory of like seeing something?
Rebellion 2002.
Interesting.
In the UK.
That's Regal Jeff Hardy for the European title.
I think that was one of the matches that stood out to me was like Vinnie Jones was the guest host.
Okay.
he came out and he's like, "Oh, you fucking muppets, get on your fucking feet! It's Stone Cold fucking Steve Austin!" And it was Stone Cold versus The Rock in like I think it was like an unsanctioned or a no DQ match.
Okay, yeah.
And then just like random, like I think it might have been like not Wembley, but some random UK arena. And it was just off tap. Like the audience was insane. Like I remember, like I think the match before that was like Scotty Too Hottie, and like I remember seeing all this crazy shit. And it's like, this guy's breakdancing. What the fuck? This guy's throwing. I was like, this is sick.
Yeah, fuck
and I was like hooked instantly. Mum hated wrestling. She was like, "You're not watching wrestling. I'm not paying for Foxtel. None of this. Not happening." So I had a mate that lived like 30 minutes away by like for Push Mike, and I'd like ride to his house every weekend. Would catch up on the Raw, SmackDown, and would save up all our pocket money to order the pay-per-view every month. And would like turn his living room into a like wrestling arena.
Fuck yeah. Sick. And then now realizing that pay-per-view then led to the plane ride from hell. It was like the next day.
There's like all this stuff that went with it, but like I didn't go back and like I watched that, but I didn't go through all the history. Like I didn't catch up until like the Monday Night Wars until like 2 or 3 years ago when they put this on the network.
Okay.
I was like,
that documentary's fucking sick.
I was like, okay, I'll learn some history. Like I went back and watched some older stuff, and like I started watching seriously and like religiously in like 2005, 2006. So I was like going into sort of like the ruthless aggression.
Same era as me as a kid. Fuck yeah.
So that was like my boys were like, you know, Triple H is always the man for me.
Okay.
Like, he's like above everything else, and he was like the coolest dude then as well. And then you had like your Jeff Hardy's coming through, your CM Punk with the long hair coming through, and that sort of stuff. But like watching like Punk and like Hardy feud with guys to Triple H and stuff like that was just like, that was the sickest shit to me.
Fuck yeah. I remember I dropped out a bit after that. Like I remember seeing Punk come in and being like, who the fuck is that? Because like as a weird kid that listens to metal, you're like, this guy has cool tattoos and long hair and Kill Switch Engage plays his theme song. Like that's so sick, because at the time it's like heaps of rap music and like gimmicks and shit, but he was like himself. And then you go back, I went back and found out about like Ring of Honor and stuff, and then dropped off for years, and then came back just after his big run. So like that was where I came back in, and then I've just been fucking mental about it since.
So I dropped off pretty much not long after he left, because like I was always associating, like I always liked the guys that had heavy themes. Like, go figure. And then even when like he dropped out, and I watched for a little bit, like so like 2013 to like maybe 2015 I was watching more so just the pay-per-views and stuff like that. But NXT was like starting to fire up. I was like, oh, this is kind of sick. But that's when I found wrestling for myself, like locally, and then I found out about indie wrestling. And I was like, I got into like Progress, Ring of Honor, New Japan, all that sort of stuff like pretty quickly. And I was like, oh, there's so much. I didn't know there was so much wrestling. I thought it was literally just WWE.
Well, that's all like.
And TNA, because I remember watching TNA back in the day.
And being like, AJ Styles is the best, and now he is the best. Like it seems to be like there's a blanket theme of shame of wrestling in Australia, I've noticed. Like if you like it, it's always met with, oh, that fake shit, or that's a homophobic slur, and shit like that. And it's just like, hey man, like you can watch Breaking Bad and that's cool. Why can't I watch this? It's the same fucking thing.
Because
it's just storytelling.
Only maybe know like, they might only know like Hulk Hogan, like that really gimmicky stuff. But might only know like just the dumb shit they've seen on like those like Facebook videos where it's like Santino doing the Cobra, like,
or like Katie Vick type shit.
They'll see all that random shit. They won't see what the cool shit that we see, like your Stone Cold Steve Austins and stuff like that made wrestling fucking sick.
And then the stuff that makes you be like, what the fuck is this? Like Omega Okada. Like that. The first fucking match was fucking mental. So sick. And then just like if like I think if anybody watched that, they'd be like, I need to watch more of this. And even PWG, like their videos are just like, you watch that as like probably a lapsed fan, I could imagine you'd want to dive so far in. Because it's just like massive highlights.
It's just so sick. It was like every time I go there, like before I lived in like a big wrestler house, and it was like 5 of us living in one house, all wrestlers. And before we go to gym, it was always like the PWG highlights. It was like pump up.
So good. Fuck yeah, man. And then like you said, you found Australian wrestling, which I feel like either people know about on like a surface level, or they know about intensely.
There's no in between. Like if you don't know about it, you wouldn't even know it exists at all. Like you're just like, you're oblivious to it. But then you might have like, oh, I have a friend that's a wrestler, and even then you're like, you think whatever.
They end up on like some dating show on Channel 7 of like, oh, to show you how tough I am, we're bringing in wrestlers. And it's like Elliot Sexton or whatever the fuck.
Like I started to see like when Matty Wahlberg did Survivor and stuff. That's a better like you see like he's pretty much playing his gimmick. On the show and everyone hated him. I was like, this is wrestling.
Like just a character, and he just even like what he does now is like similar but not as much of like a heel. But just being a heel on TV and then people watch it not knowing and they're like, fuck this guy, but they're eating out of his hand.
Literally, he's so good at working the crowd, and that's like that's stuff that drew me in. Like I was really drawn in by like that big performance side of it, and that's why even like my gimmicks were big characters more so than wrestler. So when I found wrestling, I remember I was like on the Sunshine Coast with the mate that I grew up with watching wrestling. We were both living on the Sunshine Coast at the time. And he was like, bro, there's like a local wrestling match. I was like, fuck yeah, we're going.
Sick.
And it was like at the Sands Tavern in Maroochydore.
UPW?
It was, back then it was QCW.
Okay.
It was before like UPW even came up.
Fucking crazy.
It was like old school. So it would have been like, it must have been like 2013, 2014, something like that. And I remember watching, it was like Ricky Rembrandt and Jimmy Starr in like a ladder match, and like there was like 60 people in this crowd. And they're doing like ladder bumps from the top onto thumbtacks and shit, and we're like, what the fuck? And like, dude, like Ricky had like a punk tattoo and stuff like that. So I'm like, this dude's sick. This is sick. What the fuck? And like afterwards, we were like, we want to do this now. Like, what do we do? And like we signed up pretty much on the spot.
Fuck yeah.
Started training like the next week, and unfortunately for me, I was living at home for the first time, and like bills and shit. So I was I got pretty tied up with the job I had at the time, so I wasn't training much at all. Like once in a blue moon to make it the training and stuff like that. And the training centre at the time, we didn't really have a proper one. It was like you train after shows or before shows, so we train out on mats on the beach. Like it was wild.
That sounds intense. Especially Sunny Coast heat, man. Like, fuck that.
So like for a while it was like really on and off, but I'll still go to the shows, and I started off as like, I think my second or third show in, they're like, okay, you're the backstage announcer, bring a blazer. I was like, okay. And I did like, I think 2 shows at that, and like, okay, you're a referee now, there's a referee shirt in that box, off you go. No training, it's like just go in and just wing it.
Whoa. And like from a casual fan perspective, a referee's just there to count to 3. But knowing how it actually works, there's a fuckload more that goes into being a referee.
So much work being a ref. It's crazy. And like, I look back at my time as a ref and I'm really thankful. I got to have some really cool opportunities as a ref too. Like I worked House of Hardcore, World Series Wrestling. Like I was sharing the ring with like some of the biggest names.
I forgot all about World Series Wrestling. Holy fuck. Well, like that started Villain Enterprises with Marty and Brody. That's fucking insane.
And like I refereed like some of these massive names, not just indie but like ex-WWE and stuff like that. I got sucked at by X-Pac in the ring. He like dropped a mic on me. I was like, oh, and I was like, and like in the deep down like marking out like what the fuck am I? And they're like, play cool. I had like a match with I was on a match with Tommy Dreamer, and he's trying to pop me. Like he hit an RKO on like his opponent, and he's like pulls me in. Only I can hear. He's like, that's Randy Orton's finish. How did he kick out? And I'm just trying to hold it together.
That's incredible.
And he's like, have some fucking fun, man.
That's so sick.
It was sick, and like refereeing like was that leeway into it, and it was also my leeway into finding out about more than just that one company as well. I found out, there's wrestling in Brisbane. And at the time, that was like New Globe Wrestling with like NWA and like 18 plus shit. I was like, oh wow, this is a whole different ballpark. And it just branched off from there. Like I was like, oh, there's wrestling in Brisbane. Okay, there's wrestling in Sydney. There's wrestling everywhere in Australia. There's so much wrestling. What the fuck?
Especially like I think like finding that out is kind of like you see it on the same level as like the music industry a bit, where Sydney, Melbourne wrestling, huge, like MCW and like all the shit that happens in Sydney, and then Brisbane's kind of just like, oh, it happens there too. Like it's sort of there, but like Sydney, Melbourne are like the big places, especially with like all the massive names that are coming out of there, like Brooksy and Robbie Eagles and all the TMDK crew.
So much like the amount of talent in the last even 5 years is crazy that's come out of like Australia, and it's usually 9 times out of 10 it's like Sydney, Melbourne. But then you have a couple of sprinkles from like Adelaide, Perth as well.
Not to say Brisbane doesn't have any like great talent, because Brisbane has like some fucking sick wrestling. Jake Nova is probably one of the best getting around.
He's the homie too, and he's just down the road as well.
Oh really? He was at like the first one, like the first Australian wrestling show I ever went to. It was him and 13 were working together, and Jake Nova was like, it was before the Jordans and like the cool gear. He was doing like the Shawn Michaels gear kind of, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, like I get that. But fuck yeah, that's sick.
And Jake's been around like fuck, I have in my office at the moment, I need to get them converted. I have about 20 little tiny cassettes of like Jake Backyard Wrestling.
Oh, really?
Like I have old shit, and that's from like 2005. So when I got into wrestling, Jake was already wrestling.
Yeah. That's insane.
It's crazy. And
that's wild.
Yeah, and watching him with his career go, and like he's another guy that, like him and his wife, they both like metal and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
But you see his gimmick and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's all like rap and hip hop and stuff. He wouldn't guess it, and like all the Jordans and jerseys and stuff.
Yeah.
But then we'll talk about Trivium and stuff to like all the time.
Sick.
And just coming back to, and I think his is similar to me. It's like my biggest thing was like the WWE games, like SmackDown vs. Raw, all that stuff. Like they had the sickest soundtracks, and that's what like branched out more music tastes in me again, and like that correlation again with wrestling and
metal,
music, and like metal. So good.
Yeah, fuck yeah, that's so sick. Especially like when like you were saying NXT started up, that was like the metal equivalent of WWE.
Yeah.
Where like if you weren't into indie wrestling, that was your alternative.
Yeah.
On a mainstream level.
Yeah,
but like realistically, Progress is the most punk rock wrestling of all time.
I remember when I first discovered Progress, like, this is sick.
Yeah.
This is so sick. Everything about this is sick.
Yeah. And then like you go back and like watch the Jimmy Havoc Ospreay feud and like how violent that was. It was insane.
And I think Progress was actually my first, outside of like WWE hardcore matches, Progress is my first taste at like that near deathmatch vibes. Like they sort of like, I guess they did go kind of deathmatchy, but there wasn't like full on deathmatchy.
No, it was like Paul Robinson, Jimmy Havoc were like the closest to like CZW death matches.
Yeah. And then I became a huge fan of Jimmy Havoc. It's like, he's just a cool dude.
Great.
Such
AFI theme songs.
Yeah, I was like fuck, this guy's sick.
Yeah.
And like his merch and everything, and I was like, this is a sick. And then he's what I followed to eventually find deathmatch wrestling. So it's like all these little loopholes and connections to get these other places.
Just rabbit holes, man.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, that's sick. So then go back to your story. You're refereeing and you're training at the same time, and then you eventually get your in-ring debut as a performer, not as a ref.
Yeah.
And you are Echo in the very beginning.
I am. It was a bit of a journey to get there, because like as I was like on and off training, and like eventually I was traveling 3 hours of training and stuff like that. So people were seeing that I was trying to put in the effort, but like no one was like wanting to pull the plug on like giving me the chance, especially because at first I thought the Echo gimmick is like, I was going like, it's a cool goth,
it was fucking sick
kind of thing. And I was gonna be sick. It's like my vision, and everyone, I was like, and no one was like vibing with it. They're like, this isn't it. I'm like, nah, it's it, trust me, I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be sick. And I ordered all this gear, I got custom made everything. And then eventually, there was White Bay Pro Wrestling gave me a shot. They had their debut show, like they were launching as well, and they were doing a show in Gympie. So that was essentially at the time hometown crowd for me. So I grew up in Tin Can Bay, like Rainbow Beach. I went to Gympie. I went to school in Gympie, so I was like, this is kind of like, this is pretty hometowny vibes. And like, it was something. Like I came out, I used a Virgin's Crown as like my entrance music. I started from like the breakdown. So I was like, this huge heavy thing. I'm coming out angry as shit. I got the face paint on, purple and black, all this goth as fuck. And my first night, this show, they couldn't help it. Like there was bits and their first show, there was gonna be shit going wrong. But we were outdoors. It was raining. The ring was like half falling apart. It was just a disaster from head to toe. But I ended up coming out first match and did like a battle royal.
Classic debut battle royal.
I was in the battle royal, and then my opponent for that night was like, I'm not wrestling in the rain. I'm like, fair. I'm dumb. I'm going to wrestle in the rain. So they, at the time, they put me with another guy, JL Gold, who ended up being a good friend of mine. We tagged.
He's fucking sick as well. He's great.
He ended up putting me with him. And like, okay, you guys are semi-main. Go plan a match. And it's just like, all right. And like, I'm like, 10 minutes into my wrestling career.
Green as fuck.
And we're going through it. I'm like, yep, cool. We go up, we do a match. Looking back now, it's pretty dog shit, but at the time I thought it actually went quite well. I was like, this is sick. And we're wrestling in the rain. It's just dumb as shit. And then the referee comes up to me. He's like, bro, stay in the ring. You're in the main event for the title now. And it was like a 5-way scramble for the heavyweight belt. I'm just like, what the fuck?
So you wrestled 3 times.
I wrestled 3 times, including the semi-main and the main event.
That's fucking wild.
And my mum's in the crowd yelling like Casey the whole time instead of Echo.
Oh no.
And like my girlfriend tells like, it's Echo. Stop saying his real name. And I had like some of my best friends there. It's probably like 40 people there, and like 30 of them were just to see me.
That's sick. Well, the people got what they came for. They 3 times in one day.
They were singing me right end of it, and that was the start of it all. And I'd love to say it blew up from there, but like it was real. I was still refereeing.
Okay.
And like the companies I wanted to wrestle for were like, no, we need you as a ref. Like I ended up becoming a good ref.
Yeah.
And a good ref was hard to find, and they just didn't like the Echo gimmick. So it was a real slow start, and I wasn't training still regularly enough. So I was like, I got a couple of matches here and there as Echo, but people just weren't vibing with it.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was sick.
I thought it was sick.
Yeah, it was fucking killer. I was like, fuck yeah, I get that. Like, sort of Undertaker, sort of Kane. A bit like Punishment Martinez, I saw as well.
Yeah. It's a little bit, I had a sprinkle of this and that.
Yeah, it was fucking sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah, goth gimmicks. Now they're fucking sick.
Yeah, now they're fucking over.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, oh, fuck, classic wrestler's first gimmick is a goth gimmick. Fuck, shut up. I'm a goth kid at heart.
Just let me be me. Yeah, that's fucking cool, man. And then from there, you transition your character. Was it straight into Adonis?
Nah, and Adonis wasn't even like, it was not my choice originally either.
Okay.
So we started off with like, we started going on these like tours, like regional Queensland tours.
Yeah.
And it was fine for me to get experience as Echo, and then we got to this one town where they're like, because I had like upside down crosses and stuff all over my pants, and like the face paint and the music, and the organisers of the show were like, not a chance. That's not happening.
Really?
We're a good Christian town. This is a Christian audience. This is a Christian show.
You'd be the best heel.
I was like,
what the fuck?
And like, not happening. That can't be on the show. And we were like, we're just in the locker room, like, okay, we got 2 hours. What the fuck do we do? One of the blokes pulls out a spare pair of like gold trunks and a razor. And we're like, this is what I got.
Yeah.
And I had like some, obviously my own gear for Echo, but like just like losing like the tights pretty much, and like losing the face paint. And they're just like, all right, let's make you whatever. And we just started like shaving. And the night before, got really drunk, and I did Truth or Dare, and I had like a V shaved into my chest, this big weird V.
That's sick.
No idea why, it was just there.
Yeah.
It was drunken moments, and they're like, let's just keep shaving shit into you.
Cool.
And they end up shaving a six-pack into the abs.
So I remember seeing that, I was like, that's very funny. Like,
so he shaved the abs into me, and we just had like a shitty dry razor, no soap, no water, something. They're like getting like eaten alive by this razor. Put these trunks on, I looked just ridiculous. And then they're like, let's just do something stupid and funny. And I think a few days before that, because we used to watch movies all the time with all the wrestlers, we'd watched Year One with Michael Cera, Jack Black, and the High Priest and that. And I just started pinching like all his lines. Like, you're there, base me like a turkey, golden boy. And so that first show was like I wrestled a good friend of mine. He helped me a lot, and I was the first time wrestling with a face ever. So I was like, this is weird. But it was real fun. And we did like there's 2 matches over the course of that one day, because it's like the whole thing, the midday session, night session. Went back to the hotel, and they're like, there's something here. And for like 3 hours we just drank and talked shit, and like came up with all these dumb ideas for Adonis. And then they're like, we didn't have the name at first. Like, what are we gonna name you? Like, oh, you're like a Greek god. Like, you know, like you're in shape, but you're not in shape. Adonis, the body of a god. And that's literally just thrown at me. Like, we'll run with it.
It was when I heard Adonis, I instantly, because I'm a fucking nerd, thought Adrian Adonis. And I was like, that's pretty funny. Like, that's sick, because like he like got massive at one point, like absurdly big.
And that was the whole thing. Is this like, you know, you think you're gonna see this big chiseled jack dude. And it's like, nah, shave my 6-pack.
Which is incredible. And then you put glitter in it at one
point.
point?
Glitter and everything. I started adding the makeup and like the oil. So we're driving back to Brisbane, and they're like, you're on the show tonight. Like, you're not refereeing. Like, we're gonna put you on the show as Adonis. We're gonna just chuck you one of these big tag matches. And they're just like, I mean, it's the first time in front of like a wrestling audience. And bang, that was it. They fucking ate it up. They put me in there as a heel, and like within like 2 minutes of me in the ring, like, nah, this guy's a fucking baby face. Because the crowd's just like losing their shit. I did have a couple of shit chants. Like, some dude was like, KFC Russell Brand. And
that's very fun.
That caught on. I was sitting there like,
was that New Globe?
Yeah, that was New Globe.
Because I've been to a couple of New Globe shows, and the crowd was ruthless.
They are very ruthless.
They used to be fucking insane. Like, can't remember the 2 guys that ran it, when they would like swap who was wrestling and who was managing.
Oh yeah, like Jesse.
And
who else was it being like? Well, it was like Jesse, and like his other gimmick was Silver Cunt.
So Silver Cunt. I forgot about that.
Wasn't even his real name. The crowd made it his name.
I remember that, because I went the first time and everyone was like going ape shit about Silver Cunt, and I was like, what the fuck? And then Mark Davis almost ripped my fucking hand off.
God, the high five when he comes in.
He killed me. I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, I thought I broke my hand. Like, a week before going to Sydney to play some shows. I was like, this dude fucked me up. Like, what the fuck? But he's crushing now.
Oh my god. It's blown up.
Yeah, insane.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I remember at New Globe there was like a Rumble or a Battle Royal. And Davis put me in the corner, and I was like, well, this is how I die, because I knew I was about to get chopped. And I felt the high five, and I was like, I'm about to feel my first Mark Davis chop.
Yeah.
And my soul left my body for a brief moment, and he's like, give me some back. I gave him some back, and he's like, okay, you're good. And walked away, and I picked the next guy. I was like, okay, that's a seal of approval.
That's pretty funny, considering, like, I've seen his chest after Walter matches, and he gets demolished.
Yeah.
Because Walter is the best chopper of all time.
That's one of my life goals. I just want to feel a chop by Walter. I need to know what it feels like. So I've been chopped by some like heavy choppers.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I need to know where Walter's at. Like Davis was like up there.
Yeah.
And like Ospreys, like they sting. Yeah. They sting so much. And then like Gino, big boy chops, he like launched me across like the room. Like it was like my feet left the ground.
Really?
And I'm like, so I need to know where Walter's at in that scale. Like,
it's either like super light or not at all. Like, I feel like there's no like, it's just a regular chop. It's either gonna kill you or it's like gonna feel like nothing.
It's like, I want that's my chest plate crack. That's what I need to know.
Probably will. Fuck yeah, man. That's crazy. So
I was doing
sticks.
Yeah, I was doing that, and it blew up. Like crowd just ate it up immediately. So it really quickly it blew up too. Like I was like getting merch and selling out first show kind of thing. I was like, okay, shit, we're onto something. Yeah. And just kept advancing. I was getting some good matches too. Like they started, and because I was still green as hell, they were giving me these more experienced dudes to work with, which was sick. So I was getting like really good opportunities with great guys. And then because it was kind of like thought up by management at AWA, they were hesitant to let me take it elsewhere. Yeah. Asked politely, I was like, hey, I want to take it to UPW, and that's when UPW had just started in the Sunshine Coast. Because I originally started, I was still reffing at this point too, occasionally still reffing, and UPW was like, I was trying to not do reffing, but when the call came, sometimes I would do it. Yeah. And UPW is one of those companies like, okay, we want to use you as a ref. Yeah. I was like, but I can wrestle. Yeah. And they didn't want Echo. I was still trying to make Echo work. I was doing two gimmicks at once, and it's just...
I remember that. You launched a pro wrestling tease under both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that,
And I was trying to make it work, and it's just, nah. And then eventually dropped Echo, stuck with Adonis, then eventually gave them the chance, like, do you want Adonis? Yeah. And they're like, yeah. And that's when...
That's just what sticks me.
Yeah, I wrestled EC Diamond at the pub in Lullaby, and we had a real fun match, and they're like, yep, that was sick. We love that.
Fuck yeah.
And then... it just I started getting more opportunities. Once a lot of people seeing things or hearing things, they want to use you. Yeah. And UPW ended up being essentially home for me for a while because they just trusted me a lot. They put me in there, like Gospel's debut match was against me. It's like, we trust you to like take him through this and stuff like that. And like a lot of those sort of opportunities at UPW where I was kind of seen more as that. By that stage, I'd been wrestling for maybe about 2 or 3 years, but training for like 3 to 4 years kind of thing. Yeah. And I had a really strong character. I may not be the best wrestler, but just the character work was enough to carry me through a lot of stuff. Yeah. So they had that sort of trust there where they'll let me take some of their newer guys. Yeah. Meanwhile, I was at these other companies, I was starting to get those bigger matches and do other stuff as well.
Fuck yeah.
And then I started traveling, and that's when it was like, busy.
Snowballed. Fuck yeah.
Busy.
Yeah, that's sick. Fuck yeah. I've noticed Australian wrestling crowds love that sort of a gimmick. They either like the straight-laced babyface worker or the over-the-top like character, which Adonis most certainly is. Yeah. And I've seen you work as Adonis, and it's like, to me, I see like Cabana, Dalton Castle, like those sorts of characters. Like it's super fun and light, and just gets the crowd involved. Yeah, which is sick.
Dalton Castle was like someone that I watched a lot of, and was like, okay, I'm gonna steal a bit of that. Yeah. Old school Gold Dust was a huge influence too.
That makes sense.
Like I pretty much just stole half his shit. Yeah. And I was like, I'm taking that,
taking
that. Yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, that's been like, Attitude Era too. He could get away with so much shit. And I was in like companies like 18 plus shows where I could do so much shit.
Especially AWA.
Yeah, like I was jerking off the ropes. I was kissing dudes. Like it was just, I was using like cum glitter spots. Like it was like,
so sick.
It was wild. Yeah. And I just got more and more flamboyant as time went on. Yeah. And I just kept adding to it. Then obviously, kids shows, I can tone it way back. And I just go back to that, I'm a god, but I'm funny. Yeah. And like the abs sort of thing. Yeah. But then 18 plus shows, it was just like all out. Super hypersexual, flamboyant, kind of bisexual demigod.
Yeah. Which like, not like outside of Australia, I don't know what your goals are within wrestling, but outside of Australia, there's companies like DDT and Dragon Gate that like thrive on that sort of stuff. But like Nakazawa, who now is in AEW, is like doing his like body oil spots on like national television in America. It's fucking insane.
And that's like, I actually had right before COVID hit, love that. Had a Japan trip booked.
Really?
I actually was like, I had loosely teed up to go to DDT.
Fuck, man.
And it was like, bring a gear, we're not sure.
Yeah.
And it was like that kind of almost foot in the door kind of vibe.
Yeah, that's so sick.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, that's a bummer.
Big bummer.
That would have been huge.
Yeah, that would have been like the next big thing.
Yeah. Obviously, not everybody's going to know what DDT is or what Japanese wrestling is, but Japanese wrestling is the best wrestling on the planet.
It's like a whole different breed over there as well.
Well, they're so like broad in their like range, where there's the strong style of New Japan and Noah, but DDT is more of a character based. Yeah. They wrestle in the forest and on trains. And
they do like the weirdest shit. And like, I love weird shit.
Yeah,
I thrive on weird shit. Like, so like I like New Japan Pro Wrestling, but it's definitely not my style. Like I would never go out of my way to train that way or work that way. But I've worked guys that do that, and I'm like fine with it. Yeah, but it's not for me. But then when I did find DDT, and like that's when he who will not be named, Mr. Joey.
Yes.
He was doing his thing there. That was like a lot of gimmicky stuff that I was doing, and I was like, okay, well, he's over as shit. Yeah. Like, he is over
and that's
as
where
shit.
that spot started.
Yeah.
Was in DDT.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, fuck, that's a goal. Yeah. And I was like, because I was looking, okay, I'm doing stuff around Australia. This is cool. I want to keep doing the rest stuff around Australia. Yeah. I had, short-term goals and long-term goals, and I was like, DDT is going to be one of these long-term goals.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And then I was even like looking at the States, and like the States you can get away with that more gimmicky stuff. Yeah, there'll be companies that were best suited for it, and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. Well, that's sick, man. I like to go back to the style of wrestlers. Like, not every wrestler should be the same. Otherwise, it just gets boring and stagnant. Yeah. So, like, it's good to have characters, and then there's places for these characters, like at the time bar wrestling and even PWG and places like DDT. So I hope you fucking go to DDT, man.
Huge contrast. Just like wrestling now is like kind of up in the air because like injuries and just everything. So it's just it's there, but it's like it's not the priority at the moment anymore. Okay. Yeah. But I still love wrestling. Yeah. No doubt about that.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And it's just with the travels the way it is, it's
hard,
way too unpredictable.
Yeah. Especially like here. Like America's a bit like different, and Japan have their own thing where they're flying people out like a month in advance to quarantine, but Australia's kind of just like sus.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you sneezed now.
COVID. Fuck, man. That's wild. That's so insane that you had like a possibility of DDT.
Yeah, there's like a little something there.
Yeah, because even like the stuff they do now, like Chris Brooks is crushing over there from CCK. Yeah. And like the people that have gone through DDT are like some of the best in the world.
Yeah. I was like, I think one of the boys here, Wes Chambers, he went over for a bit, and he's like Melbourne based, but he was just. I was watching him for a while because he came up and I was like, he's got it. He's like, to me, he's like a mini Osprey. Okay. He's got something. Yeah. He went over to DDT. And I was like, sick. And then he came back and he was supposed to do like PWA Coliseum, obviously COVID and that, but he did he's doing some big stuff at MCW, he's done the PWA, he's doing like, all that sort of stuff. He's doing well in Australia when it's back up and running. Yeah. And that's like, DDT, I guess, was a big thing that helped that as well.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Sick. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, in the meantime, when you do get back to like being able to work on a regular basis, what are your long-term goals and even short-term goals?
Right now it's just I missed the whole creative process because like when I was involved I was wrestling but also doing like creative things as well, like the video, like some of the video stuff and like graphics and lots of stuff, and I just love that side of it too. And that was a big thing of like with Pro Wrestling League and AWA, like how we're starting to stand out as well, like having that cool shit. I just loved the creative part of wrestling and like helping people with characters and stuff. And I've always had this goal, like if I can't wrestle again, to help and like train and stuff like that, and do like character workshops and like creative workshops of like how to do your own graphics or edit your own pictures and stuff like that, or shoot better promos or all that stuff that comes of building your character. Because being a character guy, like you can be a great wrestler. And if you sometimes that's all you need if you're really really good. But even like some of the best wrestlers, like people see like for example Jake Nova. simply outside you think he's just like a wrestler.
Yeah.
But then you see how he works a crowd too, and like he is working a character.
Yeah.
It may just be him turned up to 11.
Yeah.
But he is working that character.
Yeah.
And he can get any audience to feed out the palm of his hands.
Yeah.
And even when it's him and Todd Eastman together.
Yeah.
Like they just know how to work people.
Yeah.
You know, and that's that beauty of you can be a wrestler.
Yeah.
That's great. You can be a good wrestler. That's great.
Yeah.
And if you can be a good wrestler that's in touch with your character.
Yeah.
Even better. So if I could somewhere help with that, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
I want to go to a Mania. I think as every wrestling fan does.
Yeah.
But go to Mania, but use that trip to America to maybe work over there.
Yeah.
So I got a few like friends and family in America now, so to have like places to stay.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
So to maybe do something over there.
Yeah.
Just off my own back,
Yeah.
Try that out.
That's gonna bring it straight back to music. All of that stuff is literally shit you need to be doing in bands as well. Like, you need to learn how to... Yeah. I literally put out a song a couple of weeks ago. I made the video myself. I didn't know how. But I was like, stock footage and YouTube tutorials. Let's fucking go. And it's fucking doing sick. And tours and stuff, sometimes you can just book them yourselves and go over yourself. Yeah. Like, the correlation is insane.
That's how I did everything in Australia too. Like, it was like, you initially hit someone up, hey, I'm doing your show, you're like, well, they'll hit you up. And then it's like, okay, you go fly yourself out, you go look after your own shit. Sometimes they help you out, But to get places, music, wrestling, anything that's sort of entertainment industry, people think, oh, like, you're on stage, you must be famous for getting all this money and stuff like that. It's like, no, we're broke.
Yeah.
We're so fucking broke, bro. It's like, I have paid like $2,000 to come over to like wherever and do this and do that. And like, so to go to wrestling music, exact same thing. If you want to go to the States, especially when you're like up and comer, you
gotta do it yourself.
All yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a grind. It's a big grind. So that's why like when you start to see the rewards from it, like you get success from it, it's even better. Yeah, for sure. Fuck yeah.
You're all about the grind, man. Just fucking getting it done.
Yeah.
That's sick shit, man. That's fucking cool. I fuck with that heavy.
Yeah.
That's fucking rad. But yeah, hopefully like people get the correlation now, because like I think now wrestling's becoming a bit trendy, which is sick. A bit upsetting for me because I ate a lot of shit for liking wrestling. But it's trendy now, so that's cool. But hopefully people can see like the correlation between the two is like such a similar industry, and like the people that like both can get along in either realm.
And it's like, it's really cool. Like, we used to do stuff with AWA, like, and it's good to have, bands and stuff on shows. And you see stuff like, even like Robbie using like In Heart's Wake, and like they start, they have their little Twitter stuff like that. And I am 100% sure when stuff's back up and running again, we're gonna see In Heart's Wake play Robbie out live.
Oh man,
it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be sick.
I'm hoping for January 4th, like Tokyo Dome.
Yeah,
that'd be mental.
Be insane. But that always gonna have that similar vibes and connections and stuff like that, and you'll see. Same with like looking guys like Robbie. Like, he started off as a guy that was just in heavy music and wrestling. Yeah, and he got really good at wrestling. Yeah. And he grinded. He's still. You think he's got this huge success? Like, he's going great.
He's going great. Yeah, but
there's still a grind there. You know?
Especially the way like I think American fans look at him in particular as just like Ospreay's friend, kinda. But like, I've known about Robbie for ages. I'm like, he's like legitimately one of the best going around. Yeah. And now he's like IWGP Junior Champion and Junior Tag Champion with Tiger Mask.
Like, what?
It's like crazy. But yeah.
And you still see like the amazing support he gets from like PWA, which is like obviously his home fed in Australia. Yeah. And like, they're doing the same thing with like that music wrestling. They got the band that like Set Me On Fire did their theme song for like PWA. They're playing live at their first show back. So it's like bringing it all together again. And it's just like, that's giving them opportunity, because this band hasn't played in 2 years. PWA hasn't had a show in like how many months because of lockdown. So it's just that helping each other out too.
Two birds, one stone, man. All their fans and people that know about them as a band, and then all the people that know about the promotion, and then just put them together and cross-contaminate everything.
No mask.
Not COVID, but fan bases can cross-contaminate. No diseases.
And it works so well. Yeah, it's beautiful to see that we can come out of this pandemic and people are already thriving. And it's great to see, but more we come out of it. How much? Like, I got my brother-in-law over in America. He's Ricky Hoover. From Old Sofa.
Okay.
And he was like, starting this band all throughout COVID.
Yeah.
And then America obviously a bit looser, and they hit this big tour with like Carnifex and stuff like that, and how he's just coming out of it and hitting the ground running the second he could.
Yeah.
And it's just like crazy to see like his journey with the music thing and stuff like that.
It's like almost similar to wrestling. Yeah. Back at it again. Yeah. Yeah, that's fucking sick.
As soon as they can, let's go.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Cool. Well, we've been going for a bit. So we'll hit your top 5 favourite bands of all time. It can be artists as well, doesn't matter. But we'll do that, and then we'll go your top 5 favourite wrestlers, socials, and fucking shut this bitch down.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Top 5 bands. Trivium. Make Them Suffer. Miss May I.
Miss May I. Fucking whoa. Yeah, I haven't heard about them in ages.
Love Miss May I.
Heart's Breath came on my phone the other day, and I was like,
so good.
Yeah, that hits right. Yeah, that's good.
That's the right amount of slaps.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, cool.
And then it's always the top 3. They're easy. And the rest of like 4 and 5 is alternating. But I always got to chuck in Iron Maiden just for the pure nostalgia. Yeah. And that's what started everything. Yeah. And then as the complete 360 on the whole thing, sick. Billie Eilish.
Okay, yeah, she slaps.
She fucking slaps. And Happier Than Ever has like that rock riff in it and shit. Okay, it starts getting heavy. I'm like, you know what? I want to hear Billie featuring something heavy. Yeah. Oh,
but it's her. Zombie? Could you imagine?
Bro, that would be her and Ghostman even. Like Ghostman kind of on that heavy side of things. Yeah. Love Ghostman too.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, that's like that's the music side. Wrestling, Triple H number 1. There's never an argument. It's just Triple H. Yeah. Triple H, Pentagon.
Penta. Fuck
dude's
yeah.
Just sick.
So good. Over as fuck. Dude's on literally 2 hand movements. Yeah. It's fucking wild.
Like Pentagon Dark and like Lucha Underground was just the shit.
The death match with Vampiro. Fuck, man.
I've watched that too many times.
So good. But he's crushing now too. Yeah, absolutely. Just a fucking little kid from Mexico. Now he's all over the place. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, always loved his work. I gotta chuck Punk in there purely because like he was a guy that helped when I was younger as well. Yeah. And again, like, because I stole so much of his shit, I put Gold Dust in there.
Dustin.
He helped me a lot. And he's just a dude that's just... He's never been the big anywhere. No. Anytime. No. But he's still... He wrestled fucking Bryan Danielson last week.
Yeah. Dude. And it was fucking sick. Yeah. And then his match with Brody Lee last year was incredible. I was like, what the fuck?
And he's like... I was like, you can't not respect a dude that's still doing it.
At his age, man. Yeah. 5 decades.
Insane.
Wild.
Insane. And 5th on the list, there's so many fucking wrestlers. Why are there so many wrestlers, man?
There's so many.
Aleister Black, I don't know, just it's a cop-out, but the dude's just, he's just cool. Yeah, I mean, he's just a cool dude.
And I'm wearing his shirt. I'm a big Tommy End guy.
He's just, and I love Tommy End when he's Tommy End and stuff like that. And he's just a cool freaking dude.
Yeah. Yeah, loves metal.
Fucking
froths it.
Yeah.
Yeah, big spinning back kick.
Yeah.
Fucking just sick.
He's so sick.
He's the man.
Like him and Andrade NXT match.
Yeah. Him Andrade anywhere.
Just,
in general. That combination. So good. I froth how he's being booked at the moment. I'm loving it.
Like, I thought I'd get sick of seeing him versus Cody because, like, controversial. I'm not a Cody fan.
That's fair.
I think he's way overrated.
Yeah.
But him versus Cody, like, I'm still watching the 3rd match and, like, enjoying it.
It's
like,
good.
okay, something's going
right. When he won the first one, I was like, he's not winning the 3rd, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
He's gotten 1 clean win.
Yeah.
And then, like, a bunch of clean wins, 1 dirty win, and then a loss. And I'm like, I'm fine with all of this.
Yeah.
This is okay. He looks great.
Yeah. 100%.
Fuck yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Sick, man. Fuck yeah. Thanks for doing the podcast.
Oh, it's a lot of fun, man.
Sick.
Enjoy.
And we're done for another week. A huge thanks to Casey. That was probably one of the most like natural conversations I've ever had from the first time meeting someone. A lot of these is the first time I'm meeting these people, but yeah, that one was fucking sick. I listened back and I was like laughing and like the reminiscing of like New Globe Theatre pro wrestling shows of Silver Khan. But yeah, just a musician who's a fan of wrestling and a wrestler who's a fan of heavy music, just coming together, shooting the shit, talking shop. And go support Casey in whatever he's doing. He's a fucking sick dude. Go follow Casey on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at Adonis_divine. And go check out his merch on WrestlerMerch and ProWrestlingTees.com. And if you like what I'm doing here with the podcast, share it, tell a friend, subscribe, follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen. And follow on Instagram and Facebook at Heavy Sweater Podcast. And once again, this fucking weekend, Friday, Saturday, the time has come. We are playing some shows. Show can't. Shokan are playing some shows. We're supporting our fucking boys in Isolation on their This World Grows Cold Queensland tour. We are playing the Irish Club in Toowoomba on Friday night. This Friday night. With Deep Leech, Dissect, and Isolation. And then the next day we are playing the Black Box Theatre in Nambour with Dead Nerve, Dissect, and Isolation. And it's going to be fucking sick. And yeah, we'll have merch. We'll be playing at some point both those nights. So yeah, come out. It'll be fun. And come back next week for a new episode. Thanks.